My name is Allie Sauter, and I am the Technology Integration Coach for the Indianola Community School District. I serve grades pre-K through 12. This is my fourth year in this position, and it's been an evolving position in that as technology has changed for our teachers, my position has changed as well. So I get to do a lot of new things, and it's been a blast. And we're so excited about our blended and flipped and online course offerings that we will be creating here at Indianola.
Hi, my name is Kim Grissom. I am an instructional coach at the high school here in Indianola, Iowa. This is my third year as an instructional coach, and the last couple of years I have shifted more and more into working with teachers on online and blended learning. So I'm looking forward to more of that to come. So next year I am actually going to have a new job title. I believe the final draft of it is a program development coach, which basically means that I'll be working with specifically teachers that are going through the cohorts, either in self-paced development or if they are going through the blend flip. And then some of them may continue on and go into facilitated online teaching as well. So I'll be working with them as they transition into that type of teaching and helping them make that shift and helping them work through some of the bugs that might pop up and some of the problem solving. And then I'll also be working with those departments who are also dealing with new standards, like the social studies standards that just came out and the science NGSS standards, as we sort of shift into that different line of, it's just a different way of teaching with the inquiry in the social studies and the science and engineering practices in the science department, which I think actually work really beautifully with blended and flipped learning. All right, so I think the biggest philosophical change for teachers is they have to think about what is the best use of face-to-face time. Every teacher I know in the high school, they want kids to think. They want kids to learn. They want kids to be able to figure things out on their own. And how to do that is always changing. And now that we live in this digital world and they have devices that distract them and they have short attention spans and there are a lot of struggles, but the goal would be to use technology in a way that can help them overcome those challenges. And so I think that question that Blend Flip asked about what is the best use of face-to-face time is a really great question, and it's not necessarily what people expect when they start taking a class called blended and flipped learning. They expect that you're going to think, well, what should I put online? What can I put online? But really, it's a different mindset completely. When it comes to self-paced learning, I think the biggest question that teachers have to think about is, what does every kid need to know? It's really hard to take this whole class that you've taught before in a way that you've taught it face-to-face and then try to figure out how you could put it online and let a kid work through it at their own pace. And it can be really overwhelming to teachers until they start thinking about those power standards in a little different way. Like, really, what does every kid need to know? And how can I just help those kids know that? So I've had lots of conversations with teachers about thematic teaching, conceptual learning. So thinking big picture, 30,000 feet up, what do you want every kid to be able to do? And then thinking backwards about, okay, how can we get them that information? How can we build those skills in them? And then the other thing I think that Blended and Flip does is, with these new standards like NGSS, inquiry takes a lot of time. If a teacher just lays out this beautiful lab that has these expected results and kids could just learn that way, that's efficient. But as soon as you open it up to inquiry and it's about the kids figuring out, and you know they're going to make mistakes, and you know they're going to they're going to hit dead ends, and you're going to have to readjust or guide them in a new direction. And I think a lot of teachers think, oh my gosh, how am I going to have time for that? And so I think Blend Flip is one of those great answers to that question, which is, okay, what can you take that's that background content knowledge? How can you put that online in a different mode, and then that can carve out that space in your face-to-face class time to do some of those other things that you know are going to be messy. And I think the social studies standards with that compelling question and the inquiry and docu-based learning, that is going to be the same way. It's going to take more time, and they still need that content knowledge background in order to wrestle with those questions or to have those debates. So if they can move some of that content online in a blended format, then it's open up possibilities for them. So I think the mindset is it has to be growth minded, and you have to be able to know that there's going to be mistakes. It's going to be messy. It's not going to work the first time. And I think our admin is working really hard to try to send that message that it's okay to try new things. It's okay if it doesn't work out super swell the first time. Like let's learn this process over time, and then let's learn from our mistakes and make it better.
So last school year, the 2016-2017 school year, we started our first Blend Flip cohort. They took course 1 and 2 last school year. They took course 3 this past summer, and they took 4 this fall. So we kind of always are going to have 2 cohorts going at the same time. We're going to have one that will be ending and one that will be beginning. So that time in the fall, we will end the one cohort and begin another. And then every summer, we are offering the self-paced developer. We're not teaching it, the AEA is, but we're budgeting for so many teachers to go through that every summer. Once the teachers go through the self-paced development class, for those that are doing that strand of things, they have the entire school year to create their content and get it vetted by their PLC group and by Kim and myself, who will look at it for things like ADA compliance and just content, things like that. And our teachers are being fully supported through that process, including financially. We are making sure that our teachers are compensated for their time while they're taking all these classes in Blend Flip and self-paced online, and for their course development and creation. Depending on whether you have a semester-long course that you're creating or a year-long course, we've adjusted a stipend for those things. But again, we should be in a really good place in the 2019-2020 school year to get this going. Our high school went to a one-to-one environment 4 years ago, and that is when I started my position. We spent the first 2 years of that deployment mainly learning about the machine and the different tools that can be incorporated into the classroom. We used the SAMR model of technology to just get teachers to take what they were normally doing and help them move those tasks and lessons toward different levels of the SAMR model. And we also adopted a new learning management system in that time frame. So a lot of my job was spent just making sure that teachers were proficient in the technology that they were having the kids use. once the first 2 years of that deployment were over, it was clearly obvious that our teachers were ready for kind of a pedagogical shift in how they use technology in the classroom. So I took the AEA blended flip cohort that year, that second year of our deployment, and really something clicked with me that this is the direction that we need to start looking at with our high school staff, with our one-to-one environment. So as far as the timeline goes, we have had one group get completely through the blend flip cohort, and we have had one group get through the self-paced course developer course. So we are working on a timeline, like a 3-year timeline. So we figure that if we can deploy a cohort each school year, started last year, we had one start this year, we have one more next year, we will have enough teachers trained to start doing more blended and flipped instruction in their classrooms. We will have 3 groups of teachers trained to be creating self-paced content for our online learning program. And we want to have that rolled out and deployed in the 2019-2020 school year. So it's a tight timeline and it's a lot of work, but our teachers have been amazing, and a lot of this is driven by them, because our very first cohort, they asked for that. We didn't ask them to continue on with this blend flip cohort. They actually asked to do that. And it was just really great to see that spark of interest in how can we integrate technology into our high school in an even better way, even beyond SAMR. Like, how is this shaping how we do business inside of our classrooms? So our district, with our professional development, our high school is kind of branched out into kind of a personalized professional development environment where we have the teachers who are interested in blended and flipped learning go through one strand of professional development, where the teachers who are not ready for blend flip learning yet, they go through our AIW and our quality instruction professional development plan. And Kim and I both offer support for those groups. This year I've been primarily with the blended and flipped learners, and Kim has been more with the quality instruction as her title of instructional coach in our building. But as you heard Kim say, that's probably going to be changing up a little bit, because I actually serve all 6 buildings of our district. I'm kind of branching away from the high school in that they want me to be serving all 6 centers in our district, and that's kind of hard to do when you look at the online and the flipped and blended cohort and all the things that need to be done for that. So we support the teachers in the building. Kim's been through the cohort. I've been through the cohort. So we work through, we coach teachers who need coaching in that area. And we are trying really hard with this new self-paced program that we're developing. We're trying really hard not to overwhelm our teachers. So we are carving out time during PLC time for those teachers. We are carving out time during the school year where we can just kind of collaborate for one day and just see where everybody's at and what help they need and what direction we're going and what issues could potentially pop up. Because to be honest, this is the first time we've ever been through this, and we find things we need to find answers to every day. Just today, we thought of one thing we need to really kind of start zeroing in on and figuring out for the next school year. So it's really nice to just kind of have that collaboration time throughout the year.
Well, we have lots of reactions from staff. It depends who you talk to. I would say my initial reaction to that is excitement. There are lots of teachers who are just excited about the possibilities. They don't really know what it's going to look like. They don't know how it's all going to work out, but they think it's the right move. They're looking forward to some of the solutions that it can offer to some of our problems. We have lots of kids who want to take AP courses or who want to take upper level classes. And, we don't have the hugest high school in central Iowa. And so some of those classes are single section classes, which makes it really difficult to schedule. So you have kids who are active in lots of different areas. They want to be well-rounded, but by their senior year, they have to make some hard choices. Well, if we could offer some online options, that opens up a lot of possibilities. We have kids who struggle in class, who have different educational needs, or they have health events that get in the way of their learning. And so there's a lot of excitement about how this move to online instruction can really help deal with some of those challenges. We have lots of teachers who are just curious. They're just sort of dipping their toe in the water. They want to see, they take that first blend flip one class and they think, oh, wow, okay. And they don't really know what they're getting into until they're in it. And then some of them are like, ooh, okay, I'm going to back off for a while. I don't know if I want to keep going with this. And others just get really, really wound up about the possibilities, and they can visualize how this could change their classroom and how they could reach different students in that way. So they're intrigued enough to go on and keep learning. I know there's a lot of confusion out there still among our staff about what is online instruction, and there's concern about, are we replacing teachers with computers? And so I think the more people we have go through blend flip, the easier it will be to get that message out that it really isn't about replacing teachers at all. It's about using teachers in a different way, using our teachers' expertise in a different way. And it's really about personalized learning, because now all of a sudden the teacher has more flexibility. They have more time. They have lots of different tools at their disposal that they didn't know about or weren't able to use before. And so that's a challenge. And there are lots of teachers who are loving the challenge and who are like embracing it and digging in. And there are plenty who are a little stressed out by that challenge and are wondering how the heck this is all going to work. But, we just take it day by day, see how it works out.
Personally, I've seen a really huge spark of interest in our staff in the 4 years that I've been in this position. 2 years ago, I got my master's degree from the University of Northern Iowa, and to end that program, I did an action research project on just the flipped classroom model. And since I was already the technology integration coach, I asked a few teachers if they would be willing to participate in a study with me. And I kind of taught them a little bit about the flip model, and they created a few lessons using the flip model that I could go and observe and just look at student data for my final action research report. And I had teachers interested then. When we offered the very first Blend Flip 1 course as kind of like an intro, here's an avenue we could go down. Like I said earlier, it was the teachers who said, we want to keep doing this. We know that the district is not really endorsing it right now, but is there any way that we can do this on our own? And of course the district came in and said, well, if you want to do this cohort, we'll support you. And it started to fulfill some needs with Art's vision of the self-paced environment for our high school. We also had another group of teachers who were very unhappy with how our current credit recovery process was delivered, and just the content that our credit recovery kids were getting, and not thinking that it was matching up as good as it could be. So we had a huge shift of teachers who said, you know what, why don't we start making our own credit recovery opportunities? And that group of teachers went through the self-paced developer cohort last summer. And again, I just think it's this shift from within, that teachers are recognizing that things need to change and that we need to probably start doing things a little differently, not only for our students, but for them as well, so that they have more time to differentiate and do things with their students. And it's been great to have that, because that interest it makes my job as someone who helps deliver and facilitate that professional development through flipped and blended learning and helping them with their self-paced work. That makes my job really fun, because they're so into it and excited about it.
So Art Sadoff is our superintendent, and he's been doing quite a lot of talking about this. He has done some talking to our staff. He's made at least one video, maybe two for the staff. We've talked to our board curriculum committee. And so those minutes and that update will be going to the full board, I believe, this coming week. And so we may have more conversations with the board. We're also, Allie and I are presenting at our SIAC group on Monday night. So that's our parents and students and teachers. So we'll be kind of filling them in on what is online learning, why are we doing it, what is it going to look like, what's our timeline, all those kinds of things. And then we just keep bringing it up. I mean, we have lots of teachers in lots of different stages. And so especially our self-paced developers right now, they have to get all of their content okayed by their PLC group, which actually has been a really great way to help people understand what it's going to look like, and that it's not necessarily replacing the teacher. It's giving them a little bit different idea about what the tools look like. I had a teacher come to me the other day, and he was like, "Whoa, what is soft chalk? This looks awesome." Because he hadn't seen it before, because he wasn't in Blend Flip. And so just having more people do it and having more people go through that process, but then having them share with their PLC group and giving them the opportunity. Like we have kids taking beta testing some self-paced instruction right now, and there are teachers who are working with them either in student services or in study hall, who are seeing the way this works and thinking about how that might change things, and counselors who are saying, "Hey, we need more classes like this." So the word is getting out, and I think the more we talk about it, and the more work there is, and the more we're engaging students in the work, the better that communication is going to be.
Well, from a technology integration perspective, this cohort is a perfect answer to my world, because teachers are teaching differently, and with the flipped and blended and self-paced, they are using technology, and it may be technology that they've never used before and need my help to go over how to actually implement and integrate those programs and pieces of hardware and software in their classrooms. When I think about the pedagogy of technology integration, I think this program certainly shifts the way teachers think about what technology they're using in their classroom. And again, I think it's helped our teachers see a bigger picture about what the modern learner needs and how to match up their teaching to that learner, and what technology strategies can be used in order to do that.
Okay. I think the most interesting thing about all of this is just that there are plenty of changes in education today. There's lots of challenges. There's lots of wondering, what do we do? Like, kids are different now than they used to be. And so I think in that way, this blend flip cohort just came at exactly the right time, because teachers were looking for ways to deal with those challenges. We had been one-to-one for, I think, 2 years before we really introduced teachers into this blend flip cohort. And it was good timing because they had had enough time to play around with technology, and they had tried a number of things. They had tried to avoid a number of things. Some of them had even just given up, like, using the computer at all, like, just shut it, just do paper, just do a book, because I'm sick of dealing with the distractions and the not knowing how to deal with all of the classroom management things, right, that one-to-one can create. And so we met teachers at a wide variety of places in their journey. And so this has really helped them address some of those things. It's helped them talk differently about their philosophies of teaching and assessment. Like, what do we want kids to be able to do, and what does it look like when they do that? Our standards are changing a lot in this state, and moving a lot more toward those practices, or the ability, like more performance expectations, rather than just knowing it's something that a multiple choice test can assess. And so that looks different, and it's a bit scary because there's less structure to that kind of learning. And so when you're already dealing with some challenging students, yes, it's easy to say better engagement will improve behavior, but like, also turning over the reins to a bunch of kids, like, okay, they might be engaged, but they also really like their freedom, and they might use that freedom for things that aren't learning. So it's kind of it's a scary time to really think about totally jumping into something new. But I think blend flip, the way that the PD is structured and the way that you experience things as a student, as well as thinking about it from the teacher's seat, gives you lots of time to sort of go over in your mind what this could look like. From my perspective, all of this that we're doing is just helping teachers better adjust to the learners that they have in their room, and the new expectations of what education looks like. And plus, it helps them deal with some of those challenges that they didn't previously have answers to.